Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. It is Monday, November 23rd, 2015, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here is a look at what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, the White House gave ISIS a 45-minute head start before bombing their oil tankers. Then, the Clock Kids' $15 million lawsuit. And even Democrats know that the war against Assad is illegal and unconstitutional. That's next.
Hell, they may even launch a chemical attack and say Chicago or LA, or Austin for that matter, and blame it on Assad. And our media will say Assad did it, and it will say he's Al-Qaeda. They've already been doing that over there. And Turkey got caught, and Saudi Arabia got caught, giving them the nerve gas. It came out in the UN and the BBC months after we documented it that it was a staged chemical attack to set up Assad.
So it takes 15 months for the U.S. to target the Islamic State's oil infrastructure. But when they do, they give them a 45-minute heads up. That's right. The Obama White House gave a 45-minute warning before bombing ISIS's oil tankers. They dropped leaflets advising potential jihadists to flee before the airstrikes in Syria. You can see the picture there of those pamphlets if you scroll up. It says, "Get out of your trucks now and run away from them. Warning, airstrikes are coming. Oil trucks will be destroyed. Get away from your oil trucks immediately. Do not risk your life." So, I mean, that's just so very, very kind to try to avoid any collateral damage. They say that their excuse is that those people could potentially be civilians. But these are not just your innocent civilians like children or sick people. These are people that are actually actively helping to wage ISIS's war by driving the oil trucks, which is the majority of how they're getting their money to wage this war that is now spreading into Europe. So, of course, now also, who knows who these people could be, but potential jihadists that might now make their way into this migrant wave. So let's take a look at the way Russia is actually dealing with their airstrikes. So it took the U.S. 15 months to even begin targeting ISIS's oil refineries and tankers. Their airstrikes, they've taken out only 116 tanker trucks. This was the first strike to target ISIS's lucrative black market. Well, Russia was able to destroy more than 1,000 tankers in a period of just 5 days. And Putin says that these Russian airstrikes are going to last until the plane bombers are punished. He says, you know, we're going to take them out and we're just going to keep on with these airstrikes. So we're dealing with a community leader president who's giving ISIS a 45-minute heads up. Russia is meanwhile bombing them straight to hell, which is what he has promised. So I just want to take a moment to just let everyone kind of think about that, how we are programmed to care about certain deaths and not others. Obviously, everyone changed their profile picture there to show their support for Paris and Parisians in wake of this last terror attack. But I mean, let's not forget, Russia, they also experienced a terror attack. Their plane was bombed. 224 people died on that plane. Nobody changed their profile picture to that. You know, nobody changes their picture every single day with Gaza or Syria or Pakistan. You know, he doesn't give those people there a heads up. Hey, we're going to be a little collateral damage here with these drone strikes. So it's all very orchestrated the way that people should care about these things. Even on the American Music Awards, Jared Leto came out and was saying, you know, let's let the Syrian refugees come in after we had that very heartfelt, touching song by Celine Dion. So, I mean, it's all very orchestrated programming here with all of that. And, you know, Russian state television has a little propaganda of their own. They are thumbing their nose at the president once again by putting out pictures of Vladimir Putin's triple-decker war room, which people are saying is straight out of a Bond movie. And you can actually take a look at it there. This is the military's ground zero for all their missile and nuclear weapon launches around the world. And according to Russian state news agency, the war room is bigger and better than the U.S. National Military Command Center at the Pentagon. And, you know, it does look like it is straight out of a Bond film. So there again, just letting the president know that we're going to do, they're going to do things to the extreme, bigger, better, and badder. And our community leader president is just going to scold the rest of the world, just saying that ISIS is just, they're a bunch of killers with good social media. So, and he's warning us once again not to overreact to the Islamic State. Don't worry about the fact that they are raping little girls and beheading Christians and throwing people off of buildings and stoning women to death for getting raped. I mean, just don't overreact to this stuff, and don't worry about the fact that these people are potentially coming over in this migrant crisis, planning potential terror attacks. Don't worry about it. This is what the president continues to push. This is actually what he had to say.
So I want to be as clear as I can on this. Prejudice and discrimination helps ISIL and undermines our national security. And so even as we destroy ISIL on the battlefield, and we will destroy them, we will take back land that they are currently in. We will cut off their financing. We will hunt down their leadership. We will dismantle their networks and their supply lines, and we will ultimately destroy them. We want to make sure that we don't lose our own values and our own principles.
So that's what President Obama said Sunday, trying to reassure a nation on edge. He's saying the Islamic State group cannot strike a mortal blow against the U.S. Overreacting is just going to, it's just going to play into the extremist hands. Of course, not yet, because he's got to get in enough of these people to just let it be this ticking time bomb waiting to explode to, of course, create the chaos that they can then create the order out of. And essentially, they're just really pushing this message, even at the American Music Awards, that you're basically a racist if you lock your doors at night, because not everyone in the world is a criminal, but that doesn't mean you don't lock your doors to protect what is inside. And it is the president's job. His first thing is to protect America and protect people that are in this country. Let us not forget that one of the Paris terrorists was welcomed ashore in Greece. He was given help and clothes by French volunteers. So this is an Islamic State fanatic. He used a fake Syrian passport. He sailed to Leros with a group of English-speaking pals. Officials said that group was helped ashore with nearly 200 refugees after they deliberately drove a knife through their boat as they neared land. So then he goes on with his friends. He takes a 10-hour boat trip to Athens. He then heads to Macedonia to request asylum in Serbia. He enters Croatia on October 8th, and then he made his way to France, where it is believed that he blew himself up outside the stadium there. So that just shows you the sheer determination of this person that would go on that arduous of a journey, and then with that would be his end game. But you know what? Don't overreact. Just please do not overreact to this. And now we actually do have some sane people there in Congress. This is a Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard, and she is, of course, someone that the war party hates. She is continuing to criticize the illegal effort to overthrow the Syrian government. Take a listen.
The same things were said about Gaddafi in Libya. Look at the state of these countries today. They have been overrun and are filled with chaos. And ISIS and Islamic extremist groups have only grown stronger in these countries and are terrorizing the people there.
So the world would be better with Gaddafi and Hussein?
ISIS,
and Assad?
Our enemy, would not be as strong as they are today if those actions were not taken to overthrow those secular dictators.
And so that's what this whole thing is all about. It's not just all of a sudden accepting Syrian refugees. It is about getting into a war with Syria. It has always been about overthrowing Assad. And she doesn't back down. Tulsi Gabbard continues to point out that taking him out is just going to create another power vacuum. CNN's Jake Tapper says, a lot of people say Assad is a bloodthirsty tyrant who has killed hundreds of thousands of his own people. How on earth could you want him to stay in power? And without missing a beat, she just says, look, that's the exact same thing they said about Iraq. They said the same thing about Gaddafi in Libya. And look at the state of these countries today. They've been overrun and they're filled with chaos. And ISIS and Islamist extremist groups have only grown stronger in these countries. And they've gone on to terrorize the people there. So that is the reality. When Obama tells you not to overreact, I don't think he's saying that to this congresswoman who is pretty pretty sure and speaks very eloquently about the state of what's going on there and the fact that they're just going to create another power vacuum by taking out Assad. They need to focus on taking out ISIS. And, you know, while we're on this thing of taking in refugees, there's a story out today, 150 on a flight from Mexico were allowed to skip right through customs and leave JFK Airport. They were just inadvertently sent over to the domestic terminal. So, of course, the TSA has had to hound those people and say, please come back and check through customs. So it should probably make you feel really at ease when they want to reassure you about the vetting process. The fact that Congress has just learned about the Syrian refugees that have been entering the U.S. for the last 2 years, thanks to the media reporting about that one refugee that was missing from Louisiana. That was just about 10 days ago. And so, of course, this has now elicited a warning from Congress who's saying, hey, we don't have current intelligence regarding the refugees who are here in the U.S. and, of course, those who will arrive in the future. So, you know, that's what they're going to continue to tell us is don't be racist. Don't lock your doors. We're already bringing them in. The vetting process is perfectly safe. We've got it under control. And you know what? Congress doesn't even know about it. And the fact is, they're already here.
As we all know, the Obama administration continues to fund groups like the Syrian rebels, many of whom aren't even Syrian and most of whom have actually sworn their allegiance to al-Qaeda. We've also seen groups like ISIS have grenades and rocket launchers airdropped to them courtesy of Western governments. Now, of course, the officials say that this is a mistake and Wynn probably blew the grenades and rocket launchers off course. One person was even so bold as to say this is Army Lieutenant Colonel Steve Warren. One bundle worth of equipment is not enough equipment to give the enemy any type of advantage at all. Now, I'm sure that reigns true when you're fighting a mighty force such as the United States military, but I don't think that's true when you're fighting unarmed civilians in Syria. And when you don't feel safe in your own country, you want to move, understandably so. They're coming to America, they're coming to Austin, Texas, and one place in particular they're going to school, Alex Jones's alma mater, Anderson High School. Local news is reporting for the 2013 to 2014 school year, 675 refugee students began attending Austin ISD schools, and that number is only expected to grow. Now, with more Arabic-speaking students, they need more Arabic-speaking tutors. And you have tutors coming from places like the University of Texas to volunteer to teach the kids. And one of the tutors said that the kids are being bullied and their peers really don't understand what's going on. She says that the kids are being called things like ISIS and terrorists, even though they're fleeing from ISIS and terrorists. But we do have concerns of ISIS and the actual terrorists coming here because of improper vetting procedures in our immigration policy. We're here outside the Texas Department of Public Safety to illustrate all the stringent measures it takes for an American citizen to acquire a driver's license. Now, this is in stark contrast to tens of thousands of people who are coming into the country with little to no vetting process. I do support people who come here through legal and lawful means, but we've seen top advisors in Washington tell the president, Mr. President, we can't verify everybody that you're bringing into the country when you bring them in tens of thousands at a time. Now, to that, let's take a look at what you need to get a driver's license. You need proof of vehicle insurance, proof of U.S. citizenship or lawful presence, proof of identity, proof of residency in Texas, and proof of a social security number. So all in all, we're making the point that this is what we have to go through to move about freely in our own country when other people come in with little to no vetting process at all. You can find more reports on Infowars.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Joining us now is Neil Fox, and he's our special guest. I want to let you listen for a moment to some of his music, and then we're going to talk about it.
Did you think we were stupid?
from the Conspiracy Project. It's a rock opera, a musical, a multimedia event. Who knows? It's something very different. It's a different way to get the information out there to wake people up. And I'm talking to Neil Fox. Neil Fox has been in the jingle business for a very long time. He wrote music for tons of commercials, many major networks, the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather. He co-sponsored a couple of Killer Tomatoes movies. And he says after being offered a lot of money for a 3-minute song pitching cigarettes to kids by the company with a famous cartoon mascot, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So joining us now is Neil Fox. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you. Good to be on. Thanks.
I enjoy your project here. And again, you know, we can look at the different ways to get information out to people. I've always said that documentaries, I think, are one of the best ways to wake people up. If they listen to the news on a daily basis, whether it's our radio show, whether it's our nightly news, we're telling them information that they can use, but we cannot always go back and provide the background, the foundation to get them to understand what they're hearing. And it's something that's very different than they're hearing from the mainstream press. So a documentary gives people the facts and a context. It tells a story, but it's still kind of didactic. So if you got something that's dramatic, that communicates with people on a visceral level. But the downside of that is that they always have a happy Hollywood ending. So it really just kind of turns into a revelation of method. So I really liked what you did, because what yours is, I guess, is really kind of a musical documentary. It's a bunch of songs about different topics, introducing those topics. And it's a very digestible way to get this. It gets to people viscerally, plus they also get the information. I really like the way you present that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we had a tough time while I was creating it, figuring out what to call it, because if we called it a musical documentary, people might think it was a documentary about musicals,
yeah,
or something to do with music. And it's not that at all. It's a very, I think it might be one of a kind. I'm not really sure. But when I enter it in film festivals, I put it under documentary. Sometimes they get it. Sometimes they go like, what the hell is this? And just turn it off.
Well, I like it because the music is really kind of front and center. And besides the DVD, you know, there's the songs themselves, and like I said, I really like the lyrics. Like one of them, let me just read this. This is a very short lyrics. The plan. It's the final season since it all began. The night has come to take us with its master plan. Some of us won't make it. Some of us won't understand. But a hero's been growing in the common man. And you're totally awake, and it's a great project to wake other people up. And just like that that song we came in with, Three buildings, 2 planes. We really need to hammer that into people, you know? If you tell it to them enough times, if you sing it to them and kind of get that jingle in their head, then they might, three buildings, 2 planes.
Well, you know, I was in the jingle business, as you know, for maybe 15, 20 years. I don't like to really think about it. But I kind of got zeroed into the whole mental the headspace of how do you get something across to people really, really fast and simple, especially if they're, you know, the kind of people that only listen to sound bites, or they're kind of drugged up, or, you know, just in a semi-hypnotic state due to television and, you know, that kind of thing. And so I really wanted to make this product for the kind of people who we really need. You know, we've been preaching to the choir probably 90% of the time. And we're not going to do anything unless we get more people involved in freedom, in the fight.
Yeah.
So I thought we needed an undercut, because a lot of people will watch a show like yours, and, you know, if they're not ready for it, if they're kind of, you know, half asleep, they'll hear one piece of information that they don't agree with or is a little too shocking, and they'll just run away. That'll be it. They'll turn off.
That's right. They won't look it up. They won't look it up.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll just walk away going, oh, that's nuts, and I don't want to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we needed an undercut, because we really need to get more people involved. And I thought the best way to do it is through entertainment, through music, through art, animation. I even have a little bit of dance at the end. Mm-hmm. Anything aesthetic, you know, to get them to sit through it and actually listen to the message, and maybe by the end of it, walk away with a few seeds in their minds and saying, gee, you know, I didn't know about that. Maybe I should look that up, because if that's true, we better know about it.
Absolutely. I want to play several clips, give people a taste of it. And let's play another clip. This one is from Save Us. And it really kind of touches on the insanity of trading your liberty away, making yourself more of a slave in the hopes that somehow the government's going to keep you safe. Let's play that clip.
Fine day in a new and fertile land. A group of patriots were brave enough to take a stand. They put forth an idea that raised us to new heights, that the country serves man and man has got his rights. Now 200 years have passed and this freedom served them well. But the cancer never left. They devised a plan from hell. Just like a game of dominoes falling to the ground. The only way to win, bring America down. We got the solutions to problems we create. We'll take the confusions and wipe them off your plate. You'd never believe that, you couldn't conceive that. From presidents down to clerks, just one of the perks. We get to control you, 'cause this is how the game works.
That's a great clip. Let's go back to Neil. I love that we've got the solutions for problems we create, and from presidents down to clerks, just one of the perks is we get to control you because this is how the game works. That's exactly it.
Thanks. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. How the game works. That whole thing basically is about false flag, and you know, hopefully that'll explain it to people who don't even know what a false flag is. Because the best way to stop the effectiveness of a false flag, as I'm sure you know, is tell people what it is. Then,
Exactly.
There's no more knee-jerk.
Expose the magician's trick. You know, once you show the trick and you know how it works, it's lost all of its magic.
Exactly. And that's my whole modus operandi for the film. And I'm also doing art that goes along with the film with the same topics. Some of the art's in the film, and hopefully I'll get into live performance. I mean, you know, hell, I'd like to see this in concert and even off Broadway. Just any way we can get the message out and actually put butts in the seats so they'll listen to it and they'll walk out of there. You know, they came in to see some entertainment. Maybe they thought it was a little controversial, but they'll walk out thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got a full spectrum operation going. They use every medium, every format as well, and we need to do that as well. We're going to play a comedy clip here. And of course, we have a comedy. There's comedy, there's tragedy, there's all kinds of stuff, different genres of music that you've got on here. And of course, we've got a contest coming up. Of course, ridicule, as Hillary well knows, from Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, ridicule is man's most potent weapon. And so we're going to pour that on the top of Hillary's head in multiple ways. And as we go to this, I think this could very well be the theme song for the presidential elections. He's lying, because you've got a whole string of presidents here in your animation sitting on the piano, the upright piano, kind of swaying to the music, you know, from LBJ all the way to Obama. And we're going to pick up with the one on W. But before we do that, I just got to say, one of the things about live radio is, just as we went to break, I said, I don't want to get rid of Woodrow Wilson. I don't want to erase his name. And it's like, it's not because I like Woodrow Wilson, folks. I know I'm going to get lots of cards and letters on this. I know that he's the globalist who started all this interventionism. I know he created the Fed. I know he created the income tax. I don't want to erase his memory. I want to keep him forever in effigy. And so in that sense, let's play a little bit from the W section of He's Lying.
Okay.
W said Saddam Hussein had secrets to disclose, had bugs and bombs and boogeymen hidden in his clothes. He said it might be nuclear, but history still shows thousands died for causes no one knows. He's lying. He's lying. We went to war and now look who's crying.
I'm going to read these headlines, and then I want you to respond after. We'll keep you in the next hour. This is just, I just want you in here in the batting pen getting heated up, just stewing in the juices after you just came back from Lundistan, Islama Paris, all of it. White House gave ISIS 45-minute warning before bombing oil tankers. That's from Department of Defense News. Okay, I'm sorry. Pro-refugee leftists rally in Paris attack police. 1 in 5 Brits, Muslims, has sympathy for jihadists. Obama warns against overreaction to Islamic State attacks. Paris terrorist was welcomed ashore in Greece and given help and clothes by French volunteers. Turkey, the country that ISIS uses as a home base and where it has sold $800 million worth of oil. People ask who keeps buying it. That's them, our good little buddies, Turkey, who then lets them come into Europe. And they call them refugees and say we're racist if we don't accept it. Exclusive, 150 on flight from Mexico allowed to skip customs leave JFK Airport. So the government's just flying illegals from Latin America and they can do whatever they want. Yeah, that's New York Daily News. Just, oh, the illegals don't need any IDs, but you've got to have 400 of them. And we're going to let Syrian refugees go and not track them. Russia says U.S. policies helped Islamic State. Again, that's like saying the grass is green. I mean, but at least they're saying it. 11 militants from ISIS-linked gang killed an anti-terror op in Russia's North Caucasus. They're calling that literally evil in the media. Crimea in a state of emergency as their main power lines out of Ukraine were blown up by the loving George Soros people, the folks that he helped put in power. Mali gunmen were hunting for Air France staff at Radisson Hotel, wanting to kill some more French. Mali forces hunting more than 3 suspects after attack. Doesn't matter that half the French are total leftists that hate their country and are attacking police, foaming at the mouth to bring more jihadis in, literally just saying, here, rape my daughter, slit my throat, I love you. I mean, these are the most self-loathing, horrible little degenerate. What they are is cowards, and their subconscious is probably 100 times, most experts think, more powerful than the cerebral cortex and your focused consciousness. Your real consciousness is your subconscious and all the data you have in your gut and your spirit. These people are scared of jihadis. They're scared. And so they just go, we love you. Everything's yours. We hate France. Thank you for killing us. We deserve it. Madonna, it's loving. We didn't love you enough. It's just our fault. This is just their spirit of weakness, their spirit of capitulation. Mali forces, most people serve the devil because of that. They're scared. They run into evil. They run into spirits of evil. They run into the culture of evil. You decide to join it. You see, most of these Satanists get into this stuff looking for power. Satan is the counterfeit of power. It's what you fools don't know. Thing is, you can't handle the real power. Continuing, Mali forces hunting more than 3 suspects after attack. Gangs of New York, Sicilian mafia offers Big Apple protection from psychotic ISIS. This is how pathetic we've gotten. That was ABC News. France boost ISIS fight as Brussels locked down. You were just there. We're going to cover it. U.S. Special Forces to arrive in Syria very soon. They've always been there, 5 years, as Assad hails Russian airstrikes. Video, Hillary supporters want to repeal 4th Amendment. Who should pay for the Syrian refugees? And it goes on and on and on and on from there. And as I mentioned earlier, Prince Charles says that it's global warming's caused all this, not radical Islam or our government's opening the door and Turkey bringing them all in. Now, joining us is former Army Staff Sergeant, combat vet Joe Biggs, to speak to that. That's key here. His observations in countries now in the London stands, in the Paris stands, in the jihadi-villes, and, of course, Michael Zimmerman. Michael, let's start with you. You've worked here a few months, great camera guy, great editor. You've been on a few assignments. You got thrown into the mix of this. What was it like, your observations? Then we're going to get Joe Biggs.
It's a very interesting trip to go on. It is very strange to be in a place that just recently had these kinds of terror attacks go on, and you've got police and military everywhere, walking the streets, warnings about potential chemical attacks going on while we're there, and it's an interesting place to be.
The hotel we're at, they were on black alert is what they called it. It said it was one of the highest spots that they believed that would be attacked in London because of the train station and the proximity to other places. So I had heard a siren earlier that day, and I was like, what is that? And I walked down to the bar in the hotel, and I was asking these guys, like, what's going on? Like, oh, my, this is we're on black alert right now. They're expecting this place to get hit. And you're sitting here, and I'm like, I feel like I'm an artist. I'm like Bob Ross in overseas right now without my paintbrush. My paintbrush being my AR-15, because they don't have that ability to do that. I'm like Picasso when it comes to a gun. I can do whatever I need to do.
You feel naked.
Yes. And I felt like Bob Ross. I couldn't paint my happy little trees or my clouds. I had a canvas, but no brush. And it's the worst thing to be good at
happy
something.
Little trees.
Yeah. The worst thing is to be good at something.
Nice little.
And not be able to do it.
Nice little brook, nice little barn, little deer.
That's flowers. The easiest way I can. I got home last night and I literally got all of my guns and put them in bed with me and laid down and slept with them. I was so excited to I was like, ah!
You think Obama like that?
Oh, I don't care. But it says right here, White House gives ISIS 45-minute warning. That just further proves of what we've been saying since day one.
Michael Zimmerman, describe when you went to Brussels, Belgium, and I guess 3 times you got run out of restaurants, run out of convenience stores, run off the street, followed by cars. Just, you're not supposed to, as a European, come in these I guess, whole towns now where the jihadis are from. You were talking about people shooting guns on the side of the street. They all got guns, rocket launchers are being found because the police won't go in these areas. But all the rest of the good little Europeans follow orders, and, you know, they'll just lay down and let their daughter get raped. I mean, it's crazy what the socialists have done, what the social engineers have done. So break down what you witnessed there, and then Joe Biggs.
Right, so we took a train from Paris to Brussels, and from Brussels we actually walked 40 minutes into Molenbeek, which is this area that they call the jihadi capital of Europe, because all these attackers came from this Molenbeek area. People who did the attack on the train earlier this year came from Molenbeek, and just numerous other attacks over the years came out of this neighborhood.
Yeah, all you gotta do is Google.
Well, they're fighting
Paris
imperialism,
Molenbeek.
according to Black Lives Matter.
Right, so we walked into Molenbeek, and we shot a couple of reports in front of the house that had been raided the day before, where the Paris mastermind had lived. And then we started walking back to find a place to go before the live show, and, you know, somewhere to sit down for an hour or so. And it started to get dark, and it started to rain. So, you know, put equipment back in the bag so things wouldn't get wet. And very quickly, you know, we tried to go into this business, and had a guy yell at us in Arabic and slam the door on us and prevent us from entering this business there. And then we started walking back into town because it just really felt creepy, wouldn't you say?
Well, why didn't you just tell him you were a refugee and needed some free everything? That's what they tell the Germans.
Right.
Of course, he probably is a refugee, but he wasn't.
Well,
nice
I got
to
my
you?
head poked in because I was in the very front. And I poked my head in, and when I looked in there, I kind of saw the crowd of guys that were in there. I mean, it looked like a...
It was like Team in America. He goes, I like your balls.
I looked in there, these guys all look up, and they're kind of like giving that look like this guy just walked into the wrong place. And next thing you know, this guy jumps in, and it's me, Mike's behind me, and Paul's to my right. And this hand shoots right across me, grabs the door and slams it back and starts like screaming. And Paul said he could understand what he was saying. He was basically saying, get the hell out of here. You don't belong here. So we're kind of like, all right, this is really creepy. Let's just get out of here. Let's beat feet. So we're walking, and I'm like, all right, everybody keep your eyes open, 360 perimeter, look around. And next thing you know, there's a car passed, made a left, came back around, came back again, had 3 younger males, and they have the window down, and the guy jumps out, and he's like, ah, and he's screaming at us and saying all kinds of garbage and, you know, basically, get out of here, go back home, we don't want you. And another car came up behind him, and they pulled in front of us and kind of stopped for a second, and there was another group of men inside of that. And they stop, and they're looking, and they got their phones like that the whole time out the window, and they just got the smirk on their face like, yeah, we're about ready to jump out.
And that's just nobody beats their ass. I mean, I'm sorry, but, I mean, this would not fly in many areas of the United States.
No.
These Europeans have been so gelded, on average, that I've been over there filming in London, and people, you know, Muslims in full outfits will come out of their way when I'm just not even aimed at them and scream at me to turn my camera off. Now, when I scream at them back, Paul's been with me before, then they back off. But, I mean, I just don't get, with this leftist attitude that they've implanted over Islam now, there's just this idea that you're so evil because you're a European. It's crazy.
I mean, one of the more terrifying things is, like you said, we're standing outside of this guy's house, the supposed mastermind. I hate calling him a mastermind because it's not, you don't have to have a...
It's pretty easy to go in a theater and shoot a bunch of people
who are watching a concert. I mean, that's just cowardice. But this is where the guy's living. We're out here, we're taking pictures, we're filming. This guy opens up the doors looking at us, and he's got like this look and then slams the door back and goes inside. And I'm like, yeah, that's a little weird. And I was like, there's no telling. I was telling him and Paul, I was like, wonder how many guys in here right now that came back after that raid yesterday. And sure enough, yesterday we're reading these reports. They found explosives in there, chemicals, tons of weapons. And we're sitting out there. Those guys could have just easily popped off an RPG. That'd have been the it of us.
Welcome back. Now, joining me is Anthony Gucciardi in studio. And I wanted to bring you in here today because I'm a little bit overwhelmed with some stories of people doing things. All across the board, we see students rallying around campus, getting things done. But I'm not quite so sure if those things are for the betterment of mankind or if it's sort of some ego trips going on. So first, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are really kind of upsetting me today. And then, Anthony, I'm hoping that you can replace all of that with some people who are actually using their power to do some good. So we have, at the University of Colorado in Boulder, there was an anti-racism rally planned. And this was put on by a group of whiteness studies class students who wanted to show solidarity with the University of Missouri, the black activists there. So they wanted to put on this rally But because they were white, they canceled it. They had to cancel it, and they were forced to apologize to the Black student organizations and the Black students on the campus because they did not seek their consultation to put this whole thing together with them. So, and in addition, they were called racist by someone there on the Daily Camera. So with this paper, so they were called racist for not consulting these students, which is like they were trying to do something good. And that's kind of political correctness run amok, or, you know, rules for white protesters. And then we also have a story. Now, this is coming out of Canada. A university yoga class was suspended over cultural appropriation dispute. And this was from an anonymous email that was lodged saying that the lessons were an unacceptable cultural appropriation of a non-Western practice. And so there's no telling who this email was from. You know, were they of the culture? Who was one of the offended one? The email really reads more so like someone's just giving a lecture to this yoga teacher. Meanwhile, these classes have been being taught on campus since 2008. It's a great, you know, way to keep your body limber and focus your mind. And it's great for college students. But some social justice warrior out there was like, this is pretty offensive to some people who don't think that other, you know, people should be doing yoga. So what do you think about that, Anthony?
There's a lot of crazy news out there. There's no question. We look at the headlines every single day, and you can pick out 9 out of 10 of them are messed up or negative or crazy in some way. Like the people that think everything is racist. And I've always said that we need to get back to the foundation that we've learned in kindergarten, which is basic human values and basic human respect. But at the same time, I want to combat some of that stuff with a realization and a few pieces of news that I have. And the first realization is, amid all of this craziness, amid all of the negativity, amid all of the unfortunate things that we have to cover so that we can be informed, there is good news out there. There are major, major victories that we forget. Mm-hmm. Whether it is the food supply or in the political realm, people are pissed off and tired about political correctness. They are tired of it. They're not playing into the game anymore.
Which is why
They're
Trump's
not playing
soaring
into the system.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Regardless of what you think about Trump's policies, that's why he's soaring, because he won't play the political correctness game. It is a fake mantra of the establishment that people are not going to play with anymore. Okay. But at the same time, there are good things happening, and we forget some of these things because we're so caught up in what's going on and exposing those.
Right.
So first and foremost, this is a really moving story. It's about a Rutherford, New Jersey store owner. He had like a 7-Eleven type store. He returned a lost $2 million lottery ticket.
Wow.
This is from northjersey.com, and I already read the story, so I'm going to give you the synopsis of it. This guy, I believe his name was Yogi Patel. He owned this store, and there was a regular guy that came in all the time, and he was always purchasing this type of lottery ticket. And at the end of the day, he went out to get some dinner, and he came back, and his wife was running the store. The store owner looks at the computer, and it tells you if someone won a big number, right? It said on there that someone had won about $2 million.
Wow.
And he was trying to recall, you know, where was that, et cetera, et cetera. He ended up looking through the trash. The guy that bought it didn't realize it was a winner and threw it in the garbage.
Wow.
Right? Now you might say, well, you know, there's probably cameras or something. This guy didn't even have cameras in the store. He could have easily said that a friend bought it or he bought it or whatever, some way, and made $2 million. But what did he do? He called the guy that came into the store and bought the ticket and said, hey, you forgot your winning ticket. And the guy was just blown away. He couldn't imagine that someone did it. And they asked him about it. And
there are still good people out there.
Yeah, but not only is but yeah, it's one of the biggest prices they've ever seen. And basically, he just said, I just gave him the ticket. I said to him, it's your ticket. It's $2 million. He said to me, Yogi, I cannot believe it. And they asked him why he would do such a thing. You know, how could you give away $2 million? And he goes, well, there's no other option. It's not mine. So there are good people out there, and I got some more for you too. I'm going to segue with this one. So this is a story that just came out today. This Michigan restaurant won't let anyone eat alone on Thanksgiving. On a holiday focused on food and family, no one deserves to be hungry and alone. This Thanksgiving, Michigan restaurant owner George Demopoulos is making sure everyone in his community has a warm meal by serving a free holiday dinner at his eatery.
Wow.
And he's giving it to anyone who can't afford it, a free holiday meal.
And see, that's what Thanksgiving is all about. It's not about Black Friday or Black Thursday, as it's now being touted, or Cyber Sunday. You know, just don't spend any time with your families and just get out there and shop and back into the consumerism. And that really is what it's about, regardless of whatever memes are going to be circulating the interwebs about the history of Thanksgiving. I think that, like you said earlier, that whole political correctness thing is a tool of control to shut it all down. And now we're not going to be celebrating any holidays or anything we're thankful for because we don't want to bump around and be offensive. Meanwhile, it's a good intentioned holiday.
Well, it's not just about Thanksgiving, right? It's about the human spirit. It's about reality. It's about consciousness in all forms. And they want to shut down reality. And I say I'm done with politics. I'm on the third party of reality. What I mean by that is being a human being, being real, being able to have these types of discussions without being called racist and politically incorrect and crazy. Like, is it racist and politically incorrect for this group called Crazy Faith? It's a street ministry, which basically means they go around and give people food, homeless people food. But in Olympia, Washington, it's illegal to feed the homeless.
Right.
Right.
And other states as well.
Which is fine if you're giving them money. You shouldn't give them money maybe if they're drug addicts in some ways. But giving them food on Thanksgiving should not be illegal. Well, this guy, Ben, from Crazy Faith, he doesn't care. He goes around and feeds people. And he was fined over and over again. He was arrested. And he's faced a lot of hard times. And in opposition to that, I always say support people that are doing good, right? I gave him several $1,000s last year just to buy enough turkey and food to give tons of people food. And we're going to do something very similar this Thanksgiving. So it's time to empower people that are doing good. There are so many people that do good. I mean, just the other day, I was under a overpass or whatever, and it was flooding here in Texas several weeks ago. If you remember that, it was really, really bad floods. The whole road was flooded. I mean, you couldn't pass underneath it. And the traffic was stopped up, and there was a cop blocking everyone. And everyone's all frustrated and like banging on the wheel and stuff. They're all so upset, like, oh, I gotta get to work and sit there for 8 hours in a cubicle. Oh, right?
Yeah.
And the cop was super nice and, hey, you can't cross this area. Everyone's so pissed off. And what happens is a truck driver gets out and it's soaking wet. He's got no protection or anything. Gets out and he has one of those traffic things, whatever they're called. And he gets out and starts directing traffic. And then another truck driver gets out and starts directing traffic. And everyone figures out where to go and turns around. And it was like they actually, they had somewhere to go. Right. They had something to do. They didn't want to get soaking wet, but they got out and were actually good people and wanted to help people, not sit there in frustration and sit there without anywhere to go.
Right. And just, crab about the whole entire situation and being so upset, which does nothing but keep you stagnant, keep you angry, keep you stuck in traffic. And potentially, if you go on that path, your car's going to stall, you could wreck.
All I'm saying is you don't have to be 100% positive. Everything's great and happy. Obviously, it's not. It's not. But we can't hammer every single time all the negative stuff every single time. We have to remember there is good in life. There is beauty left. There is the human spirit that's beautiful. The earth is teeming with life. Just go outside and look at it once in a while and remember that there is goodness. Don't lose faith in humanity because there's a lot of faith to have.
Right. And I think that that's, something that's really important right now with, the fact that we're having this refugee crisis, and it really is causing a lot of people to say, how do they feel? Because basically you're being told that you're a racist if you lock your door at night, which I think is, it's a tool of control. I think it's terrible. But at the same time, it is the American way and the human spirit to open your heart up and, to help people that are truly suffering out there. So, I think it is important for us to, just make sure that we do find the good stories that are out there, because they definitely exist. So Anthony, thank you as usual for your positive spin. And thank you all for joining us here tonight. We will see you here again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button.
Dave, my mind is going. I can feel it.